If you're a mom, a parent, or a caregiver, and you're always putting your own needs last, you're going to want to stick around for this special bonus episode where I interview Leslie Forde, the founder of Mom's Hierarchy of Needs, about what real self care looks like. Spoiler, we are not talking about bubble baths and candles. We are talking about real strategies that actually work and that can be tailored to your life. So stick around. Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less. Today, we have such an exciting guest on the show. We have Leslie Forde of Mom's Hierarchy of Needs, and I'm going to pass it over to Leslie in a second to just introduce herself. But I will tell you, I've known Leslie for a while now, and I think we met because I reached out to her on LinkedIn many years ago because I just thought what she was doing with her organization, Mom's Hierarchy of Needs, was so cool that I needed to know her. And we have been friends ever since, friends and colleagues. And so I'm really excited to interview Leslie today to have her on the show. So welcome, Leslie.
Thank you. I am honored to be here.
All right. So, Leslie, I would love for you to give us a little bit of a snapshot of your life, of your business. What's Mom's Hierarchy of Needs all about? What are you balancing personally and professionally?
Oh, I love those questions. I started Mom's Hierarchy of Needs because I completely burned out after my second child was born, which now it's over 10 years since that happened. But it was a long, messy, unglamorous time of returning to work and establishing a set of routines where I could re-engage with my health, my career growth, and my clarity. And I feel like every day I'm still living in service to that. Health for Moms is my ministry. It's what I consider at the heart of the business, whether I'm working on the kind of personal side of the interventions that help, or I'm working with employers on the professional side. And I'm very much in it myself. So when you asked about the day to day, right now I'm in our bedroom propped up with my computer on a pillow because suddenly my husband had a call and the two of us can't be in the same small space at the same time, especially when it's being recorded. So there's a certain amount of chaos that I'm kind of trying to camouflage in the background all the time.
Yeah, you and me both. I am currently in my dining room because I was also kicked out of my office because my husband is on a call and we cannot be in the same space at the same time.
There
And
we
why do we
go.
share an office? Pandemic problems.
Ex- exactly. That is the life I'm living as well.
Well, thank you for all you do. I know I was just so affected the first time I
Thank
just saw
you.
the content that you were posting and what you're doing because I think our missions align so well, right? You're focused on moms. I'm focused on maybe a wider swath of people, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but you're so focused on what you do, and we're really just helping people or trying to help people, give them the tools and the strategies and the resources and the self compassion to not feel like because they can't do all the things that they want to do all of the time, it's somehow their fault.
100%, especially the self-compassion piece. Like we're navigating, I think, broken infrastructure, strained systems, kind of epic historical times, things that our parents never conceived of, things that our grandparents never conceived of. So there's a little bit of chaos as we find our way through it.
Just a little bit, but lucky we have guides like you.
Thank
Um,
you.
what for you, like, what is we all have different kind of definitions of the word productive, but like, what does a productive day look like for you? If you get to the end of your day and you're like, that felt good, what is that?
Mm. It means that I did what was really important. And that's a combination of what might be important in my professional life and what's important to me personally
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
my health.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's so right. I mean, I always say that my definition is like doing what I intended to do, which requires
Mm.
that I have intent, right? And also means it could fit into any of those buckets. On Monday, I only worked on my business for 3 hours because I had a doctor's appointment in the morning and my son has an orthodontist appointment in the afternoon, but it felt like a very productive day because I took care of health for two people in my family.
Exactly. Well, intention is a big piece of it. And when you described it as what you intended to do, when I'm trying to honor that, what's most important, it's very similar. I don't want to have like constant response to random stimuli or to circumstance. I want to emerge from the day with something that really felt important to me and meaningful, not just because it was urgent.
Right. Yeah. I hear you making that or talking about that shift that I think a lot of people are trying to make from how do we move from being reactive all the time, which is really hard to
Mm-hmm.
do in a world where everything is just all around us all the time, to moving into that proactive space where you're focusing on those things that are most important to you and you're getting done not everything, but you're getting done the things that were important.
Absolutely. And when I mentioned health, like I'm a dedicated runner. It's how I start my day for the most part. Sometimes I'm starting my day with kid stuff, usually with kid stuff, but I'm going to run shortly thereafter. So that's a foundational pillar. So even if something else doesn't happen that I considered really important, the run always happens.
That's amazing. That consistency is something that I certainly have struggled with in my life, but I really appreciate that. And I know I have a lot of clients who, what we call it like an anchor habit, where your run
Mm.
is that's the thing that happens, and I'm willing to bet that even though you're very consistent, every once in a while there's a day that it doesn't go as planned, and when that happens, sometimes does it feel like the whole day is kind of off?
Well, interestingly, I've allowed myself to have it be imperfect. Not the not the I don't run part. It's I always run, but it could be a 10-minute run because I have a flight that day or because the kids have a soccer game or it's a glorious 4-mile run and I'm completely by myself. Or when they were younger, it was me running pushing the stroller. So the flavor of the run can really change and I'm okay with that. It gives me the permission to make sure that it happens every day.
I love that. And I think it really speaks to, kind of getting out of this all or nothing mindset, right? I think a lot of times, with exercise in particular, this is an area where a lot of people feel like, well, I don't have the hour to go to a gym. And so I'm just going to do nothing at all. And, one thing I talk about a lot is like, how do we tier it? And it sounds like yours is, you have tiers for your runs, right? It's like, what can I do given the time I have, et cetera. I feel like my tiers are different. There, it's like if I in my best of all possible worlds, I'm going for a long run. If I can't do that, I might do like a YouTube video in my house. If I can't do that, I might do like the New York Times 7-minute workout. And if I get to the end of the day and I still haven't really moved in a way that felt good, I might do like 50 jumping jacks or something, just like to be like, I moved my body. My body moved today.
Exactly. And you refer to it as tears, which I really like. I describe this in some of my writing, and it's in the book too. It's like having a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and probably a plan D when it comes to anything that's related to self care.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Can you give us some other example? Like we talked about exercise, but what are some other examples of areas where this, and I love this so much because this is that self compassion we're talking about, right? It's like we don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be perfect. We can still do nice things for ourselves. We can still take care of ourselves. So, yeah, I'd love some more examples for the listeners.
Absolutely. I mean, journaling's another one. If things are exactly as I want, I'm spending 20 minutes free writing sometime in the morning when my brain is like at its most fresh. But sometimes I'm journaling for 5 or 10 minutes in the middle of the day while I'm trying to eat with my other hand. And then there's other days where it's like blurry journaling because I'm barely awake and it's late at night and it's right before I have to go to sleep. But the act of journaling and doing some form of like clearing my head, whether it's like just free writing what's on my mind, free writing about a problem that I'm having, or even just really writing out things that I want to accomplish over the next day or two. It's clearing to me and it's healing. And it doesn't matter if it's perfect. It
Yeah,
matters that I do
I
it.
love that so much. I feel like I've really had to lower the bar with journaling for myself over time because I felt like I always wanted to be a person who journaled, but I think it's just it wasn't just I never made it happen like on a consistent basis. I felt like I had periods of time where if things were kind of in turmoil, I would journal more, and then other times. And then a few years ago, one of my clients actually turned me on to the 1 line a day journal.
Ooh.
And it's a 5 year journal in one little book. And each day it's just like one line. You just write 1 line a day. And I have consistently kept this up for like 3 years now. And it's so fun and interesting to just go back and look and be like, what was my 1 line from 2 years ago or whatever? And you kind of get all of these little memories. So if anyone is out there listening and thinking, I would love to journal, but I don't know where to start, that 1 line a day journal was.
Oh, I love that. Um, yeah. I think it's like knowing what flavor of a thing is feasible for you, how you can take it and make it flexible so that it really fits with just the dynamic nature of caregiving, especially. Um, you could have one day planned and your kids suddenly are sick. The school calls, nanny is not available, grandmother care is off the table. Anything can happen. So knowing that and having to deal with that pretty often, I think creates space for a more flexible way of viewing like goals.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's this kind of acceptance of
Mm.
reality, right? Acceptance that like we don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. Like things aren't going to go perfectly. They just aren't. And even when I say like I've been consistent with this 1 line a day journal, that doesn't mean that there haven't been days when I looked at it and been like, oh, I haven't done it in 2 days. And then I go back and I write like a couple lines from the past few days, right? And I feel like, yeah, it's fine.
Exactly.
It's still there.
Exactly.
Um, Fantastic. Well, given that, we have so much to do, we can't do it all. We have to pick and choose. We have to pick what's important. How do you decide what gets on your not to do list, your to don't list?
Well, if you could see what was happening in this room, you'd know that like copious cleaning and decluttering has become a don't. And it's hard. So I'm even admitting it because I like a pristine home and the pre-kids me had one. But now that I'm one of 4 people who cares about a pristine home, things are different. So I've like put those blinders on. I do some amount of decluttering. I will go on a tear, usually after a vacation, because we've been in like a hotel room or a rental where I'm like, oh, I was so much happier. It was so clean. um, but aside from that, I know that I could spend all day, every day, just cleaning up after my family. And if it were that important to me, I'd do it, but it would mean I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't go running. I wouldn't have like my own sense of self intact if I spent all my time in service to a clean house. It would drive me bananas.
Yeah. And I think this is so important because when we talk about time and we talk about trade-offs, right? It's like it's never that it's like an easy decision, right? You're not like, you know what, I just it's okay if my house is a little like you're like I don't like it, but at the same time, it's lower on the priority list than these other things, right? And that's changed over time, right? What you were able to do, cared about, et cetera, before you had kids is different than the things that you care about now. And I'm willing to bet that when your kids go to college, your house is going to be more pristine.
Right. I was a hyper organized person for most of my life. Letting some of that identity go, and frankly, the complexity that comes with not having everything organized the way I like, it's hard. I don't love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard. They're hard choices, and I think this is the thing where a lot of people get stuck, right? Is thinking that like it should be an easier choice. Like, why isn't it an easier choice? And it's not an easier choice because we're ambitious people who want to do a lot of things, right? And so it's not like you're saying, "Oh, I'm going to let go of the stuff I don't want to do, and I'm going to only do the stuff I want to do." Sometimes we're saying, "No, I have to let go of something I want to do because I want to do something else more."
100%. It is. Volunteering is another one. I love volunteering. I am an active volunteer. I'm on a board and I'm on a leadership committee for another organization. I get requests to join unpaid whatever all the time. And I love doing that, but I can overcommit very quickly. And then when I have the capacity constraint of realizing that my unpaid workload is threatening my business or my time with my kids or my family, then I have to reevaluate and prune things.
Yeah, and I think that I feel you on this one because I'm also on a board and I've done a lot of volunteering in my life, and I've found that like what I've had to go and do is like practice some of what I preach and say like, no, I can't be the board chair or I can't do whatever. Although I did actually say yes to that one time, but I can't do this, but I can do this, right? And I think that that's it's really important to one know what are the things that we're because it's not that you want to say, hey, I don't want to be on any boards, I'm just going to remove this part of my life. You're saying, okay, what can I do without overcommitting? And then sometimes you have to be in these uncomfortable conversations where somebody's asking you to do something and you really do want to do that thing, but you can't do that thing because you're protecting yourself. You're protecting your time, you're protecting your energy for everything else that you need to do and want to do.
Absolutely. I have a like volunteer checklist that I've written that really is my rules, but written in a way where it could be your rules, right? Whatever your rules are. But hey, when do you say yes? When do you say no to a volunteer assignment? I've also learned that being the chair, although I am a committee chair right now, is not ideal. I have learned that boards or volunteer assignments that require a lot of evening commitments or weekend commitments because I have kids is not ideal, right? So navigating like those parameters so that I still feel like me. If I said no to every assignment, I would feel like foreign to myself, right? But I want to feel like me. I do like to volunteer. And to your point, it has to fit into the container I can give it right now.
Yes, yeah. And I think you said a key word earlier, which is I have to reevaluate from time to time. And I think that That is so important because we often, I think what we want, right, is to just like set things up and put them on autopilot and then never have to think about it again. But that's just not the way the world works, right? There will always be, new challenges and new opportunities. There's always going to be stuff that changes. I mean, we're navigating just even chores in our household right now, because we have one kid like heading off to school and another one is still here, and so we're like redistributing the chores that he was doing, and we all kind of sat down and said, okay, who's going to take loading the dishwasher, and who's going to take taking out the trash and whatever. And it's, if we don't take that time to reevaluate, then even if it's with ourselves or with other people, then that's when we wind up like totally overcommitted or really misaligned with what we want. And we're like wondering, how did we get here?
100%. It's so dynamic. I think, especially if you're a caregiver to kids or to adults, like what they need changes all the time. The conditions in our communities and our lives, macro climate, all of that is changing. So those adjustments have to be really frequent. And it's often when I forget to do that that I start to feel friction.
Right, right. And you start to feel a little squeezed and you're like, I don't know what's going on here. And I feel like that's often a sign of, oh, I need to take a step back. I need to reevaluate. Maybe I need to make some changes, do some experiments, see what needs to happen here. Yes. What do you think, when thinking about all of this stuff, like what has been one of the biggest mindset shifts or practice that you put in place that has had a real impact on you in your own, ability to take care of yourself and your own self-care journey?
Well, I think the mindset shift that has been the most transformative is really when I like thought of the idea for the mom's hierarchy of needs. It was this aha moment that, oh, the reason we never take care of ourselves, which way up at the tippy top of the hierarchy, sleep, movement, stress management, healthy adult relationships, fun, right? All those things that we like used to do, pre-kids used to do, they kind of just get pushed aside because what we really prioritize way down at the bottom of the hierarchy are children's milestones and their health and their like activities, schooling, our household roles, our professional roles. So when I drew it on a piece of paper the first time, and I realized that I could spend 24/7 just doing things in the bottom tier, it like liberated me because I realized, wait a minute, I can't even do these things. There's no done. So if I can't actually do them, then I have to be really ruthless about time for mental, physical, and emotional health. And I've also learned after burning out that if I go down, because I have, it's bad for everybody. Bad for my marriage, bad for my children, bad for my career, bad for my own health, right? Like everyone loses. So that has given me this odd permission.
Yeah, I love that so much. I mean, I think this framework that you have come up with is really amazing, and it also just it so it's that permission, but it's also that recognition that, yeah, we could all take care of our kids 24 hours a day. We could all do work at our jobs 24 hours a day. Like there's a lot of things we could do 24 hours a day and never make time for ourselves. And you are so right that not only does everyone else go down when you go down, but also like we only have one life to live. Or I don't know, some people may believe differently, but like I'm only aware of this one life that we're in right now. We have no guarantees about any others. And so I just think, yeah, like, don't we want our lives to be enjoyable too? Like,
Yes, exactly. Enjoyable, but also sustainable. Like women live 9 less healthy years than men. We're at greater risk for anxiety, depression, hypertension, fatal heart disease, right? Stuff no one likes to talk about, but I share it because that's part of my why. Like, women are so in service, socialized to be in service, that we allow our minds and bodies to break down under the weight of that service. And I'd love to see an end to that. I, I just like, I want to see happy, healthy mothers living the good life every day instead of thinking, well, in 18 or 20 years, I'll go and have a fantastic retirement when I can barely move around. Like, does that, what does that do for us or for our families? It doesn't serve anyone.
No, no, it doesn't serve anyone. And there's no guarantees on that future, right? I mean, that's what I mean. Nobody likes to talk about death, but here you and I are doing it. But like, none of us are guaranteed that we will get to that retire. I mean, hopefully we all do, but it's not guaranteed. And so if we delay that gratification, that kind of enjoyment, we may never get it, right? And what is that? I mean, I think a couple of things. Like, one, what is it teaching our kids if we're just selfless all the time? Is that perpetuating the cycle? Or, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
whether we have boys or girls or non-binary kids or whatever, right? Like, whatever kids we have, is that
Mm-hmm.
perpetuating a cycle if they see us only being selfless and never doing any self-care or taking care of ourselves?
100%. I think there's the modeling and the impact of that on the next generation and future generations. But I also think, like, back to productivity for a minute, just the clarity and like creative thought required to do most modern work or to live most complicated lives. Like, if you're hollowed out and drained and not sleeping and not caring for yourself and not happy, you can't get there. Like, you can't generate that from an empty vessel.
Right, right. The
It just
well is
doesn't happen.
dry.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can happen, right? And it's making me think of, I'm sure you know this study probably better than I, but there was a study a while ago, a few years ago, maybe even more, where it asked all of these kids, what do you wish were different about like your parents, your relationship to them, et cetera? And then it asked all the parents, like, what do you think your kids said? And basically across the board, the parents were like, my kids want to spend more time with me. And across the board, the kid said, I don't want my parents to be so stressed when they're with me.
Mm.
And I just think like
Mm-hmm.
the work that you're doing is helping those kids and those parents, right? So that
Uh,
the time together is not this stressed, overwrought time, but like enjoyable time.
ab- absolutely. I haven't seen that study, but I have read a lot of other like secondary research studies around elevated cortisol levels in parents or moms, right? And how that translates into elevated cortisol levels in kids. And when I worked for a mental health startup that was focused on a product for children, and I got to interview all these incredible, like, pediatric psychiatrists and experts, they all were like, listen, parents stressed, kids are stressed. Parents are anxious, kids anxious. Parents depressed, kids depressed. And some of that is biology, but not all of it. So, in service to being the kind of parent that we want to be, it's also beneficial to reduce your own stress level. Even if you're not concerned about your own health and happiness, be concerned about your family's health and happiness.
Yes. So if you need to do a little mental jujitsu there to be able
Right.
to do that, right? Like I always say, in my out of office reply, I always say, like, hey, I'm not checking email on the weekend because I believe in rest and relaxation. But also, if you need a really good reason, good in quotes, if you need a reason, studies show that when you take time off and actually disconnect, you're more productive. So we can get people there no matter which direction they're coming.
Absolutely. It's in serve I think what's in service to your health benefits every area of your life, benefits every relationship you have, and it benefits your career. We are just, socialized and rewarded for not doing that. And it takes a long time. It also, frankly, takes some agency. Not everybody has that. It requires a structure to your life and even a structure to your work where you can assert some of that agency. And that is not necessarily given out of the gate. So I encourage people to figure out what levers can you pull today, and then what levers would you like to pull next month or next quarter that give you more ease, that give you more fulfillment, that allow you to take back some of your time that's in service to your health and well-being, or to your innovation, and or to your productivity, whatever the thing is that you're wanting. Is your life set up in a way that you can move in that direction? And if it's not, then start like moving the puzzle pieces.
Yeah, and I love that you talk about like the levers that we can pull, right? Because and I think agency is really key, because I don't know if this is true in your work, but when something that comes up all the time when I'm working with folks is this sort of perceived expectation of their behavior that actually is coming from no one. It's coming from society, but sometimes they'll say something like, okay, so you have to be on, you're answering emails at 11 p.m. Like, is that a requirement of the job? And they'll say, well, I mean, yeah, like you have to be on all the time. And I'll say, oh, like, where did that, like, did someone tell you that ever? And sometimes, yeah, but like the 95% of the time, it's like, no, no one ever told me that. Like, is that something we could test? Like maybe we could just like say like we're just not checking email after 9 and see what happens, right? And like do a little experimentation. And people are often really surprised to find that they have a lot more agency than they think they do.
Absolutely. I think that's huge. People are afraid to test those waters. I also feel like it's so, as you described, right? It's so deeply embedded in the fabric of culture that people feel the pressure to follow hidden rules that aren't explicit. And some people, women people, people of color people, disabled people, LGBTQ plus people, right? People who are maybe not in power or less represented are more likely to be penalized when they don't follow the hidden rules, right? So you have people on these different like levels of feeling the psychological safety to take that test. And what I encourage moms to do, because often we lack psychological safety in many workplaces, is to kind of share it and say, hey, I know that to hit the objectives I have for this role that we both believe in, I need to have a certain amount of deep work time, right? Using Cal Newport terms. I need to have a certain amount of rest. I'm prioritizing time with my family. I am going to check messages from X to Y time, or I will not be checking messages from A to B time. If there's a concern about psychological safety, try to have a transparent, proactive conversation about where are the rules? What is the line?
Yes, 100%. And I think, well, one, thank you for bringing up that yes, like not everybody is in the same boat, and there are serious, documented, different repercussions for different people acting in the same ways, right? Very similar to how, a man would never be called aggressive in an office, right? It's
Exactly.
just
He's a
that
go-getter.
he's a go-getter, right? He's so
He's a
confident,
leader.
right? So lots of there. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. And then I couldn't agree more about kind of the transparency of some of this. Like one of the things that I always tell people to try is if you're gonna pull back a little bit on like being available 100% of the time, put it in your out of office reply. I'm available during these hours. These are the best hours to get me. Or on Slack, hey, I'm heads down right now, or I'll be back on tomorrow at 8 a.m. And in an emergency, here's how you can reach me, right? If there's a true emergency, great, reach out. I'm available. Like I'm showing that I am here and I'm available. But you know what? There's not going to be one of those little emergencies, right? I mean, nothing is that serious most of the time. So I love that. Um,
Exactly. I used to have that conversation when I was still in corporate about the fact that I said, listen, I am not a brain surgeon. There's probably nothing that you need me for that really is an emergency at 2 a.m. or Saturday at 5, right? But if it's time sensitive and you want to involve me, right? Giving people even language around choice and around perception of urgency can shift that conversation.
Yes. Yes. And you can role model it for other people. When we are all pushing back just a little bit, then it feels less scary to do so, right? You're not the only one doing it.
100%.
Um, Fantastic. Well, I know that you have something exciting coming out. I know that you have a book coming out soon because I've pre-ordered it and I can't wait to get my hands on it to read it. I would love if you could tell us just a little bit more about the book and about what people can expect from it and anything else that you want to share about it. Because I know I'm really excited. I just like clicked that buy button as soon as I heard about it.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful. Well, I'll say that the book is an outgrowth of this process of me finding my way up to the top of the mom's hierarchy of needs. It's hard to do. Mothers drowning in overwork, being overloaded at home and undertapped in the workplace when they want growth or leadership, feeling unable to devote the kind of hands-on attention with their children that they want to give because we're being pulled in so many directions, cleaning counters, picking up Legos, dealing with camp forms, right? You name it. So I wanted to write about the personal side of it. What can you do today? What can you do next week to make it better? So the whole first section of the book is called Free Your Mind. I talk about the disproportionate stressors. I call them the three ghosts because we don't see them. Mental load is one of them. Exactly. It's very invisible because you don't know what the mental load is until you start to experience it regularly. And as soon as you hear the term, you know what it is. And I know almost every mom out there knows what it is. But what we often don't talk about is decision fatigue. It was in my research around mental load, this was quite a few years ago, that I stumbled across the fact that, oh, by the way, there's a biological limit to how many decisions you can make every day. Right? And most of us are paid to think. Like that is what our work is.
Yes.
So if I'm like figuring out what kind of sippy cup, who has the blueberries and the oatmeal, like what color, rain jacket, all that madness, like in the morning, by 11 o'clock, you feel like your brain has been in the shredder. You can barely make a decision at times when you really want to make great decisions. So I kind of share that with moms, how to shift your schedule, how to shift certain types of decisions, right? Like don't pick out all those shoes online in the middle of the day. Like don't do that. you know, don't let your kids have 55 types of cereal, right? Unless you really are like feeling that's important to them. My kids are like, why don't I get cereal like everyone else? I'm like, oatmeal is cereal. It really is. Um, but it's not colored. I know that's intentional. So, that's exactly, it's by design. I'm not buying you that kind of cereal. And that's not to judge others who buy colorful cereal, but I have put a line around what I will and won't do for the kids, what we will have for certain meals. And I've systematized it so that I'm not wasting precious brain space, like reinventing breakfast every day. Right? Um, and then the third one is time scarcity and just the impact of how scarcity affects how we do everything and how we make decisions. The whole second section of the book is easing your workload. That's everything, paid and unpaid levers you can pull. Grandparent care, grab it. Helpful spouse, rein them in. uh, you have the ability to buy a village, do it. Whatever tools are in your toolkit, use all of them, because you need to. And some people have, not many women people, but depending on your circumstance, some people really do have hands-on, helpful, fully engaged, equal partners when partnered with a male. But that's not statistically the norm. If you do have that, give extra to your partner, male partner, female partner, any partner, give extra. um, if that's not your situation, it's not my situation, then you probably have to pay for some of your village. You probably have to call in favors from family. I share in the book very openly how my mother has come and covered my childcare every time I lost childcare, sometime for a month or two. Not everybody has a mom who can do that and drop everything and fly in, but I have that. So I was able to use that. There's lots of tools, not just for childcare, but for workplace delegation, saying no, not over volunteering, using groups. People will tell us to set boundaries, but the reality is boundaries don't work a lot. Our boundaries aren't respected or accepted all the time. So use the wisdom of a crowd, use the halo of a crowd to be able to advocate for yourself in certain circumstances. And then the whole third part of the book is health span, hormonal health, sleep, movement, emotional well-being, healthy adult relationships, fun, learning, all the top of the mom's hierarchy needs categories and how to make it happen.
Amazing. I can't wait to read it. I'm so
Thank you.
excited. I know it'll be shipped to me soon, and we'll make sure to put a link in the show notes to where people can go get
Thank
that if
you.
they are interested as well. Coming up to the end of this episode, I love what's the number one thing you'd like people listening to take away from this conversation today? Like if you could leave them with one thing, they only remember one thing, what is it?
Find something that feels restoring to you for self-care that you can engage in every day. I mean, whatever it is irrelevant. It just has to be daily.
Yeah, no judgment, just make it part of your routine.
Mm-hmm.
I
That
love
could
that.
be binge watching your favorite show. That could be eating ice cream. That could be going for a run. Like, do the thing that feels fulfilling and don't wait to do it for someday.
Yes, today is someday.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Well, where can people find out about you? I'll make sure to put links in the show notes, but where's the best place for people to find out more about you and your amazing work?
momshierarchyofneeds.com is where almost everything is. The research, the writing, the wellness app, it's all there. I'm also pretty active on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Leslie. This has been such an awesome conversation. Every time I talk to you, I learn more and I feel just empowered by the work that you do. So I really appreciate you. And I can't wait for everyone to hear this.
Thank you. I am so pleased and appreciative that you invited me.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Do More, Stress Less podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, share this episode with a friend or two who might appreciate a little more ease in their days. I promise you won't regret doing this 30-second good deed. See you next time.